If you want to step into month 2 as the golden child of your organization who can do no wrong, then your first month is crucial to establish yourself. In this video, I'm going to go over the 4 steps that are necessary for this to happen and which will determine your success or failure. Now, these steps are going to happen whether you like it or not. Only question is, are you going to be leading them or are you going to be managed by them? And as a result, will you thrive as a new manager or will you fail just like 60% of new managers? The first step that you need to do is to establish a routine for yourself and for your team. And if at all possible, you need to establish a routine for everybody else around you who is crucial for your success in your position. Now, the way I do this is that I make sure that on a weekly basis, I have one-on-ones with my direct report. Those are all non-negotiable. They are at the same time, and I have them with all of my direct reports. Now, the next one that I do is I make sure that I also have my one-on-ones weekly, if at all possible, with my boss. Now, here, with in my experience, is going to be 50% of the time, my boss is already going to be telling me, hey, this is when we're going to have our weekly. And on 50% of the time, I had to make sure that my boss had a weekly meeting, that we had a weekly meeting. So I was the one that was actively pursuing, since my boss either didn't want to or didn't see the value in it. And I made sure that afterwards he saw the value. Now, these are, again, non negotiable and they're in the same hour every single. I will never miss them, and I don't allow anybody else to miss them, especially on my team. The next one, the next weekly meeting that I have are the team meetings. In most cases, I like to have them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. But I've also been in an organization where we had them on Fridays, and those worked. Although with the caveat here that I was an IT consultant, and we were just projects, but that worked at that point. Now, going on from weekly meetings, I also make sure that I have a team established when it comes to reporting. I will make sure that my team knows what to report and who needs to do the reporting. So whether those APIs and documents, sales sheets, whatever the established practices or the best practices that I bring in, I make sure that that will happen. At the same time, I'm going to be establishing a reporting structure with my boss. If necessary, I will negotiate what I need to report and when. Because in the majority of positions that I was in, there was just too many things that I needed to report, too many meetings where I needed to be reporting the same thing over and over again, and they just didn't make sense. So I went to my boss and I negotiated, what do I need to do? What are the most critical things that you want me to report? APIs, processes, the progress of the projects, and such, so that I would spend the least amount of time reporting and actually doing that I needed to do. Then the next routine that I will establish is the one-on-ones with other department managers or my peers, depending on what kind of level the organization I am with. I will make sure that I have regular meetings with them, ideally weekly one-on-ones, or they can also be unofficial ones, unofficial meetings, but they need to be more regular. So this is what actually happened when I was a head of country operations for a food delivery company. The crucial person that I really needed to talk to was the sales manager. And we had talks pretty much every single went on coffee together. We ate our lunches together as well. And we just went through what needed to be done or what he was doing and his team. Then I told him I was doing and my team, since both of our successes and failures depended on one another. And we established this working relationship without having to actually have a formal one-on-one meeting or any type of reporting structure or a something like that. But that is dependent on personalities of each one of you. So me and him, and the way we just established working relationship. So that's up to you to make sure that that happens. If you have a more formal relationship, then you want to have a weekly one-on-one. And another weekly, which usually is really, really good, especially if your boss is okay with this, is that you have a meeting with the department heads, with each and every single department, and your boss leads that so that you can coordinate amongst each other. That's an even better solution, but still, you want to keep the individual one-on-ones with your peers also present so that you can talk more freely. Which normally, when your boss is involved, usually you are still formal than what you normally would be. And then add onto your routine and your calendar any other weekly or monthly meetings that you know are recurring and that you need to go actually you actually need to go and be present for them. Now there's going to be plenty of meetings where you're just sitting there and have no idea what the hell is going on or why are you even there. Try and cancel those because they're not worth your time. And or maybe just have somebody send you an something like that. And then again, all of these and the amount of the meetings that you have are going to be dependent on the position of your company. If you're a team lead and you have only 3 or 4 people in company 200, 300 or more people, then you're probably not going to have that many of them. And you're only going to be focused on your team. But if you are a person that has 100 people under your management, your leadership, then you're probably going to have a lot more coordinating me and all of those meetings that are necessary just so that your organization can run pretty. Now, the last part in this routine is that you need to have every day at least 1 hour of you time. So I always call this either thinking time or learning time. And this time is meant for myself so that I can relax, I can think about what I want to do in my position or some pressing matters that I really want to think about. And that is a non-negotiable. Nobody can go and break this time to me because it is the exact same thing, not negotiable. Unless only time when this time the me time can be broken is if there is such a crisis that the company or our department can be so compromised that they cannot even last 1 hour without my decision. That's the only. And I'll repeat this one more time. You have all of these things on your calendar. They have to be regular week meetings, regular weekly reminders of what you have to do. Because otherwise you're and if you fail to establish this, you're gonna be failing in month 3 beyond. If you're gonna be lasting that long. The second step that is crucial and you need to do is set up boundaries. Boundaries for yourself, your team, boss, and your peers. These boundaries pretty much mean what are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? What are your expectations and your limitations? What are your no go areas? Because if you don't establish that, people are going to go so fast that you're going to be wondering what the hell happened in month 2 when you're having to work from morning to late at night because just saying yes and you do not establish the boundaries. When are you off? When not be attending a meeting? When are certain things off limits, even with your boss? That's going to be the hardest part, and it always was for me when I have to tell my boss, "Hey, cannot do this. These are my limitations. This is what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to." When I was a chief of staff for a career coaching company, one of the things that I didn't do was set the boundaries on when the CEO called me. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made because a few times the CEO called me at 11 p.m. and I was just winding down and actually wanted to bed or relax. And it was harrowing because since I never told him to that he could not call me at that point, I still answered the phone. Said, "Hey, I didn't expect you to answer it. Called me directly. You didn't send me a. You were expecting me to answer it." Now, I established the boundaries later on, but at the beginning it was quite unnerving. Made me. I had way more stress than I normally would have had if I just said, "Hey, after 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. off limits. You can only text me or you can send me an email after hours because you work while the hours you like the guy works plus hours per day. But don't expect me to reply." And that is what you also need because otherwise you're gonna be a yes man and you're gonna be burning out because you're gonna be split into so many different either projects, initiatives, meetings, or whatever in where you're not gonna be able to relax and your brain is gonna, which if you want to know what happens in your brain for during and after burnout, this is the video that you now. Step number 3 that you need to do revolves all around your team. You need to know them, and I don't just know them by their name, last name, and what they're doing. You also need to, of course, that, but also what their aspirations, what are their personal, professional goals, how do they want to develop themselves, what do they like to do, what they dislike. There is no personal, professional boundaries here. Whatever your team tells you, you need to listen to them, hear them, and process that in that information. And the better of leader you are, the more they're gonna be trusting you and they're gonna be telling you their deepest fears, their deepest concerns, and even their aspirations. And as a leader with your team, it is crucial that you create a safe environment and a trustworthy environment where people are going to be able to talk freely, openly. They're going to feel safe in exchanging their views, their aspirations, and where they're also going to be respecting each other. Now, safe environment, trust, and respect is what we as leaders built. We need to make those three things happen. We cannot expect our team to actually. I've heard plenty of times that where failed leaders and managers have said, "My team needs to trust me before I'm going to trust them." Nope, that's not the case. You need to first trust your team and earn their trust. And then they're going to start and feel that they're safe, that they can actually talk with you. That doesn't happen. You've already failed. Ernest Hemingway here said it best. And he said, when he answered the question of how do you trust somebody? How do you know that somebody is trustworthy, that they're not going to stab you in the back? He said, in order for you to trust, to know if you can trust somebody, trust them. Because that's where when their true colors are going to rise up. You're the leader. You need to make this happen because nobody else will. Now, step 4 is the one that I legitimately despise the most, but is really crucial, is that you need to have one success in your first. So you need to solve one low-hanging fruit that your boss or your team is going to see that you are and you can provide value really fast. Now, when I became a chief of staff for the career coaching company, that was legitimately one of the easiest things that I was able to do because I solved it. I forget either it was on day 1 or day 2 when we were in meetings. Two things were really strange. They were just talking without an agenda and without anybody taking any notes. And yeah, so this was on day two. I actually said, okay, I'm going to be taking over the meeting minutes, and I'm going to be establishing an agenda so that we just don't talk and talk without any. And that was my crucial and really great success. Was a low hanging fruit for me, but it established me like pretty much a impenetrable person and a person that almost could never do anything wrong. They knew that I was going to solve things. It may take time. They knew that they could trust me, and they knew that I was able to make things happen just because I did the two things that I normally always did any and all other organizations. I took notes and I sent out email. That was it. Now, if you do these four things really well, you're going to become the golden child of your organization and you're going to be flying to glory. Not, well, you're going to be the 60% of those. And check out this video. I think you're going to.